streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Milwaukee Black Talk.
When a parent sees their child smile, they see hope. Aleem hoped that his son Rajib would have an easier life than he had. You see, Rajib, just like his father, was born with a cleft. But as a fisherman in a small village in Indonesia, the cost of surgery was out of reach. Their lives were transformed thanks to Smile Train, which sponsors free, life-changing cleft surgeries and other essential treatments. Rajib's surgery marked Smile Train's 2 millionth, and incredibly, Aleem's was the 2 million and first. Now, their smiles are a symbol of hope for children with clefts all over the world. 540 babies are born with a cleft each day, but through Smile Train, millions of lives have been changed. To learn more and support the global cleft community, visit smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
Join the movement. Listen to the Tori Lowe Show on 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, the locally owned Good Karma brand station.
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. It is Monday, January 27th, week number 2. Dose of Truth to Power. I appreciate everybody who is listening and everybody who is joining in on this ride. Make sure you join in on the conversation here on Truth to Power by tapping in at 833-212-1017, but also make sure you watch and stream us live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Shout out to my boy DJ Brother Z holding it down on the ones and twos.
Gotta find the key. You know, I got a lot of hot keys over here, Kyle.
You got a lot of hot keys.
DJ Brother Z.
There it is, DJ Brother Z holding it down for us on the ones and twos. But today, y'all, today, a lot of things on my mind, a lot of things we got to talk about. Because it was a busy weekend, a very, very, very busy weekend, and a lot of stories we got to recap. And I want to give y'all my top 3 stories coming from the weekend with the weekend recap here on Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace.
Truth Nation, we know you have a busy life, and the weekend went by too fast. If you missed any of the headline stories, no worries. We got you covered on the top stories you may have missed. Tap in for the weekend recap on Truth to Power. Kyle, tell Truth Nation the biggest headlines they need to know.
Ooh, I love that. Y'all know I love me some football, I love me some sports. So anytime I hear this song, I get all jazzed up. I get all juiced up. I get excited to talk about what you may have missed from the weekend. So the weekend recap every single Monday, I'll come in with the top 3 stories that you may have missed over the weekend. And let me tell y'all, there are a lot of stories from this weekend that I could have talked about, but these were the top 3 that I felt like we had to talk about here, and I had to bring to you, the community here, Truth Nation. So story number 1 starts like this. A Trump third term? Yes, you heard that right. A Trump third term is possible, as it was introduced as an amendment, a constitutional amendment by U.S. representative from the Republican Party, Andy Ogles from Tennessee. Now, Andy Ogles introduced this amendment to allow for somebody who did not have consecutive terms in office to run for 3 terms. So let me just break this down to you. Obama was in office for 8 years. Back-to-back elections he won. He got 8 years, and so he's done. He got back-to-back terms. George Bush, same thing, 8 years, back-to-back. Donald Trump won in 2016, he lost in 2020, and then he won again in 2024. What Andy Ogles is trying to do is he wants to make an amendment to the Constitution that Donald Trump can run again to try to get consecutive terms in office. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Andy Ogles, Rep. Andy Ogles from Tennessee, ain't nothing but a brown noser. His nose, I can smell it from all the way over here, how deep and far he got it up Trump's behind. Because he ain't nothing but a brown noser that's trying to basically ingratiate himself more with the man who is in charge of the Republican Party. They worship this man in Trump. They try to do stuff they try to do things to try to get themselves close to Trump, which gets themselves closer to power. Something as ridiculous, right, as ridiculous of trying to make an amendment so somebody could run for 3 terms. 3 terms. We haven't had a 3-term president since FDR in the 40s. This is absolute nonsense, but it's a big headline story because many people may not have heard about this, and it's important that we bring this to Truth Nation so y'all know what is being done to try to uplift Trump for a 3rd term. Look, Trump, he done won. 2 terms is going to be enough. We don't need another term of Trump, not because people don't like him, but because the man will be like 84, 85, 86. That's too old. He'll be on his deathbed in the White House. That's why Biden had to go. So absolutely not. So I just wanted to make sure y'all understand that this ain't nothing but a kiss up, a brown noser, and Andy Ogles trying to get on Trump's good side. But what you should take away from this is that people will do anything, I mean anything, to impress Donald Trump. That's all that was. That's all it was. He trying to impress Donald Trump so Donald Trump can kind of hook him up with something. And you know what? This just shows you that the Republican Party cares nothing about democracy. They care everything about power. This is a communist type act. This is what Vladimir Putin did. I'm telling y'all, do the research. Vladimir Putin changed the rules so he can continue to be in power in Russia. He left for 4 years or 5 years and changed the rules so he can continue to run over and over and over. And that's what they're trying to do with Donald Trump, at least this idiotic representative from Tennessee, Andy Ogles. And I met Andy Ogles this summer. I got a video on my phone with Andy Ogles. He's a scumbag, an absolute scumbag and an idiot. So that's number 3. That's the number 3 story of the weekend. Number 2, now this one had me a little concerned. And I know I sent this and I talked to some of our folks on Truth Nation and some of our hosts about this a while ago, but it has reemerged. Bounty hunters are back. Yes, bounty hunters are back. Now, you may be saying, what are you talking about? Bounty hunters are back. Well, Truth Nation, Missouri, about last month in December, presented the idea to have bounty hunters to try to catch immigrants, and they'd be paid $1,000 per immigrant. Yes, $1,000 per undocumented immigrant. Now, that was the start. Now you have down in Mississippi them doing the exact same thing. There was just a law proposed in Mississippi to basically deputize citizens to be able to go after undocumented immigrants and turn them in and get $1,000 per person. Yes, this is a real proposed bill where they're trying to make it so citizens can take a class on how to catch immigrants, I guess, undocumented immigrants, how to differentiate from a person that's here legally and illegally. I don't know how the heck you do that. But in Mississippi and in Missouri, these are 2 states that by the end of 2025 could be paying people $1,000 a head to catch undocumented immigrants. And for me, it's basically incentivizing racial profiling. That's what that is. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, you go tell somebody, some random person, I mean, listen, I'm black, and I got some Hispanic friends, but I can't 100% tell the difference between a Mexican and a Cuban, and a Puerto Rican and a Colombian. and a Venezuelan and a Brazilian, I can't tell the difference. And you know what I can't tell the difference of? Is somebody who's here legally and illegally. That shouldn't be my job. As a citizen, my job is to live my best life, be good, and do well by others. But in Mississippi and in Missouri, they are paying people, or looking to, not yet, but their proposed bills to pay people $1,000 a head whenever you capture somebody. Now, this is my issue. I got quite a few issues with this. I feel like things like this come up because people don't pay attention in history class, or people aren't smarter than a fifth grader. Because the last time I checked, when I think about the history of this country, there seems to me that the last time I recall them having catchers out there, Zach, you ever heard of a slave catcher? Yeah, a slave catcher. I think back in the day they paid people to catch slaves and return them back to the plantation. That should ring a bell. Or I know in Nazi Germany, I know that they basically paid people, Hitler paid people, the government paid people to find Jews and turn them in. So we need to understand we cannot allow history to repeat itself, because that is what we are living in. Something as crazy, something as egregious, something as disgusting as basically having immigrant catchers. If you don't even know if it's an undocumented or documented immigrant, but you get $1K. Now, again, I have an issue with this, but this is what I say. Because the law probably going to pass in Mississippi, because it is Mississippi, and the law is probably going to pass in Missouri, and it is what it is. But this is where people should fight back. What they should say is this: if you catch somebody, or if you try to turn somebody in, and it turns out that the person you turned in is legally documented, so that means you racially profiled, discriminated against, that means you harassed someone, caused some type of trauma against somebody, you got to pay them $1,000. If that is what it's going to be, the hell with it. Come get me. I start speaking Spanish. I start talking in Jamaican tongue. I do whatever so y'all come and think that I'm somebody illegal here. I can get $1,000 if you try to turn me in and I turn out to be a U.S. citizen. Just think about that. They are legalizing racial discrimination. What in the world is going on? 833-212-1017. If you have any comments on the fact that they are basically legalizing racial discrimination by allowing for people in Missouri and Mississippi potentially to go out there and be bounty hunters and catch illegal immigrants, migrants. They will get $1,000 per migrant that they catch. 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. I definitely want to hear from y'all. But also on the Talking text line, Eric in Milwaukee, you have some thoughts on this conversation?
Yeah, I just want everybody to record this and keep this in mind. Within a year, you're going to have riots. You're going to have civil unrest because you just let loose the Klan on everybody. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
it's not good. I mean, you man, listen. You telling people that anybody they see riding down the street and they got the wrong skin tone, that they might be illegal and they got to answer questions to another private citizen. Mm-hmm. They're gonna start laying them down left and right. And then you got some people, especially in the South. Slave patrols was a big issue back in the day. It's gonna be a problem.
No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I think it's disgusting that this is happening. But again, I see problems, but I also focus on how can we find solutions. 833-212-1017. If you have any thoughts on the slave catching mentality from Mississippi, bringing back a law, they just dusted off that book from the 1920s or I shouldn't say 1920s. I should say 1820s. About how to catch a slave. In the 1920s, they just lynched us for being free. But 833-212-1017. That is story number 2. Story number 3. I know I hit y'all with a lot of things that I saw. But lastly, I do want to have some good news, because the good news is that MPS, yes, Milwaukee Public Schools, is looking to propose a K-12 virtual school. Yes, a K-12 charter virtual school here in Milwaukee. And I have to say, that is what's up. That is what I'm talking about. That's the innovation that we need to have. We need to be more innovative. We need to be more creative. We need to allow for better options for our students, because right now we live in a world where going to a classroom ain't always the norm. Right? So now you have kids who now have the option to potentially have a virtual school, and MPS looking to invest $5 million in a virtual school for their students. I applaud that. Now, it's minor to me. There's other school districts doing it, but at least it is a step in the right direction for Milwaukee Public Schools to do something different. That's all I'm asking, is for y'all to do something different, and this is something different. This is only the start now, but let this continue to roll on. So shout out to MPS. They're looking to start a virtual school. Yes, an online virtual school, and right now they're looking to have 900 students starting next year and go all the way up to 2,500 students within the next 4 to 5 years. So I am all for virtual school, a different opportunity for students to adjust to their lifestyle. And the great thing about the virtual school is that parents have to be involved. Every student will get a Chromebook. They will have a teacher that's touching base with them, following up with them weekly to make sure that they are on track and make sure that they are learning. So I am all for this, and also it just means more parent involvement with the student with the virtual school. So I'm all good with it. And then also for students who may be falling behind, or students who may find that being in the classroom causes anxiety, or maybe students who got other stuff going on, this could be a great option to ensure that these kids are getting their high school diploma. So MPS, y'all on the right track with this. Let's finish the job. $5.5 million you're trying to get. This is something that I can get on board with. So that is your weekend recap here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, on Truth to Power. On the other side, it looks like we got some people who want to talk about the slave-catching mentality in Missouri and Mississippi, as they have proposed bills to basically pay people $1,000 per migrant or immigrant that they catch. Al, I see you. I see the talk and text line. Looks like we hit some hot here. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Hey, it's Dr. Ken Harris, and I want to invite you to join us for our first annual Truth Community Awards on Friday, February 28th at the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel starting at 5:30 p.m. This will be a Truth family party where we will celebrate individuals making a difference in our community. Get your tickets now by going to 1017thetruth.com. Tickets are only $25 and include free food, drinks, and a night to remember. Visit 1017thetruth.com to buy your tickets to our first annual Truth Community Awards on Friday, February 28th. It's 1017 The Truth's Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Happy New Year means a lot of rough days ahead for those who suffer from seasonal affective disorder. Plenty of gray, frigid days on the horizon where we all just want to be snuggly and warm at home. That's where Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin comes in. Their inviting doors welcome friends and family into a cozy home thanks to Pella's gorgeous, energy-efficient windows, keeping the cold out. Pella can make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin showroom today so you can learn the Pella difference and get inspired on making your home more energy efficient and beautiful with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Hurry, you only have until January 31st to score Pella's New Year's special. 0% interest for up to 3 years. Certain restrictions apply. Visit PellaWI.com.
Join the Bucks and tip off Black History Month with the team's Black Excellence Game, presented by Hennessy on Sunday, February 2nd. Celebrate the next generation of Black leaders through storytelling, performances, and more. Enjoy incredible on-court action when the team faces off against Memphis, while we shine a spotlight on Black excellence in our community. Visit bucks.com/impact for details and to secure your tickets. That's bucks.com/impact.
The MPS City Conference basketball season is starting to heat up, and we are bringing you all the live hoops action right here on 101.7 The Truth. Tune in Tuesday night for another great conference matchup as the Rufus King Generals travel to take on the Carmen Northwest Eagles. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth app and 1017thetruth.com. City Conference basketball is sponsored by Milwaukee Public Schools, MPS Proud, and presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. It is Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
I'm not in a mood, cause my flight delayed. So I jumped on a private jet and I'm asking a pilot the ETA. Lambo parked on a landing strip, everyone in my gang and my DJ paid.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I am Kyle Wallace, taking you through an hour, the best 60 minutes in radio that you will find across this country. Make sure you watch and stream us live. Go to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube and watch and stream us live. I'm definitely going to show some love to y'all in the 101.7 The Truth YouTube. Also, hit us up on the Truth Talking text line at 833-212-1017. I see some of y'all texts. We got some calls. But we were talking about on the other side, the top 3 stories I heard from the weekend. And the number one story I heard from the weekend was U.S. Rep. Andy Ogles, who basically proposed a amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which would allow for a president to run for 3 terms, 3 terms in office, if the first one wasn't consecutive. So if you got back-to-back, you got 8 years in a row, you can't run. But if you got 4 years, then you got defeated. Now you can do 8 years altogether. I know that was weird the way I said it. But basically, they're trying to let Trump run for 3rd term. That's all that is. Andy Ogles is a brown noser. His nose smell like boo-boo. But 833-212-1017, that's the Truth Talking text line. The last story that we talked about as well was the slave-catching mentality that's happening down in Mississippi and in Missouri. There are proposed laws in both of those states that they are proposing to allow for private citizens to get some type of training to be able to go out there and find immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and turn them into law enforcement, and they will get $1,000 per person they turned in. Yes, this is the same mentality that they have during the slave time and the same thing they did in Nazi Germany with Hitler. It is crazy that people are repeating history. Some of y'all definitely back in the day would have turned in some other black folks. I know that for a fact. Al, you're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. What is your comments on this conversation?
Well, my comment and my question to you is, if they're trying to do that, then, well, if we pull the Immigration Act, if I will believe it was 1917, that allowed some of their great-grandmothers of these colonizers to come in, if we pull that Immigration Act, wouldn't that mean they would have to go back over the Atlantic Ocean, like DeSantis, like Donald Trump's grandmother? I mean, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Pull the Immigration Act, and they got to leave, too.
Yeah, Al, that was something
because this land was owned by Indians.
Yeah, I saw something interesting that Elon Musk posted before about making sure that, uplifting the pure of a country, right? The pure citizens from a country. He was talking about the Japanese, they're purists, the English, like the people who are naturally from there. And I said, I wonder if Elon Musk understands that here in America, the only natural citizens of America are the Native Americans. Everybody else here is basically on stolen land.
Yeah, so if they pull that Immigration Act, dig their grandmothers and grandparents up, send them back over the ocean, which means they got to go too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Al, for calling in here on the Truth Talking text line. Very interesting thoughts. But my whole issue that I do have with this is that too often I feel like politics is played, and we're seeing politics getting played right now in places like Mississippi and Missouri, but really even here in the state of Wisconsin, we have to deal with politics being played, how they gerrymandered the maps to allow for the Republicans to have almost a supermajority, so they had complete control. And I just got an email today, which was very interesting, about how the governor in the state of Wisconsin has partial veto power. So what that means is they can veto a complete line, or they can cross out numbers and letters to change what was proposed in a budget. And that's something that Tony Evers has used and Scott Walker has used. But what's so interesting about it is Scott Walker used that veto pen over 300 times during his time as governor of the state of Wisconsin. Nobody batted an eye. it was perfectly fine. Now that Tony Evers, who was a Democrat, is using that same veto pen, the Republicans now want to kind of bring those powers in. They say, wait a minute, we got to rein that in. He has too much control. So it's always about control and about power. But when I think about a state like Mississippi, right, I feel like Mississippi has bigger fish to fry than immigrants. I'm so serious. I feel like they have bigger fish to fry than trying to put $1,000 towards catching immigrants. In a state like Mississippi, where their economy ranks number 50 out of 50 states, yes, according to U.S. News, Mississippi's economy ranks 50 out of 50 states. That's porous, but they want to invest $1,000 in catching immigrants. Mississippi is also the same state that we saw Brett Favre ask the governor of the state to help him get money, to find money to fund a volleyball arena in Mississippi at the University of Southern Miss. They found money for that. And then on top of that, Mississippi ranks 50th in healthcare, 48th in infrastructure. This is a state that has much bigger fish to fry than trying to catch immigrants. They need to be focused on the fact that they're poorly educated. And when Trump says, I love the poorly educated, he's talking about Mississippi. They need to focus on healthcare for their citizens, and they need to focus on the roads and infrastructure that they have there. So that's where my biggest issue comes in, and is that they are distracting from the real issues and real problems they got down in Mississippi. Because I can tell you this right now, I'm sure there's not too many immigrants, undocumented immigrants in Mississippi. They ain't trying to be there. 833-212-1017. That's the Truth Talking text line. And Mari on the Truth Talking text line said, Mr. Kyle, I learned a new word that fits the GOP. It's lickspittle. A person who behaves obediently to those in power. The GOP who show complete, I can't read that word, are cowards to Trump. They need to be called out on their end. And I get you. I get that 100%, 100%. Also on the Truth YouTube page, go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. You can watch and stream us live from 7 a.m. into 6 p.m. every single day on the Truth Talking text line and on YouTube. Somebody said, no third term, please. I agree. I don't want a third term of Trump. I don't want no 84-year-old, 85-year-old in office. And then also Miriam said, so they have money for that, but they cannot help citizens. Their state with better education and healthcare. What a joke. Exactly. I agree. I 100% agree. So that story was part of my top 3 stories that I had from the weekend that I wanted to talk about. But there's something else that really was on the top of my mind today as I was going through thinking about what should I talk about. I had a lot of different stories, had some stuff that happened in my life, but the biggest thing that I feel like we need to have a conversation about is we need to talk about this thing called tariffs. Because if you don't know the word tariff by now, the big T, you need to make sure you educate yourself on that, because tariffs are going to be something that you're going to hear over and over and over in the news. And I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. Y'all boy Trump was starting beef with more places. He started with Mexico. Then he went to Canada. Then he went to Greenland. And then he went to Denmark. Now he done started some mess with Colombia. And I don't think y'all understand what tariffs really are. And I don't think y'all understand the importance of actually having migrant workers here. If y'all think life is rough now, wait till the big T, those tariffs, and wait till those migrants leave those farms. Y'all gonna really know what hell feel like. We'll talk about that and so much more. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Join the Greater Milwaukee Urban League as it celebrates individuals and organizations whose commitment to equity creates strong partners and strong communities. It's all happening at the annual Equal Opportunity Day Luncheon on Thursday, March 13th at the Pfister Hotel. Greater Milwaukee Urban League will honor local leaders and organizations committed to empowering communities and changing lives. Join us for a special recognition of legendary past President Ralph Holman. For details, sponsorship, and tickets, go to tmul.org.
Did you know the gap between black and white students in Milwaukee continues to expand and is among the worst in the nation?
Or that the overall learning gap in Milwaukee is nearly twice that of the national average for black students?
Milwaukee, you can do better.
But in charter schools like Milwaukee College Prep, black and Hispanic students have stronger growth than kids at traditional public schools.
That's some really good news.
For nearly 3 decades, Milwaukee College Prep has been redefining what's possible. Give the education all kids deserve. Donate today at mkeprep.com. Truth Nation, get ready to celebrate excellence, passion, and the power of community as we host our first annual Truth Community Awards on Friday, February 28th at Potawatomi Casino and Hotel. This will be a Truth family party where we will celebrate the unsung heroes of our community and we roll out the red carpet for those making a positive impact every day. Tickets are selling fast, so go to 1017thetruth.com today to make sure you do not miss out on the biggest celebration in Milwaukee. Tickets are only $25 and includes free food, free drinks, and free Truth giveaways. Don't miss an evening filled with entertainment, heartfelt stories, and celebrating our city with the 1017 The Truth team. Visit 1017thetruth.com right now to buy your tickets to our Truth Community Awards. That is 1017thetruth.com to secure your spot for a night of celebrating the excellence of our community. The Truth Community Awards is presented by Potawatomi Casino and Hotel and brought to you by the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Williams, and I want to share with you the role that diabetes has had in my family. I lost my grandmother at the early age of 64 due to complications with diabetes. She was warm, generous, and a constant encouragement for me to follow my heart. Did you know that African Americans experience chronic kidney disease at a rate that's 25% higher than white Americans? And we're almost 4 times more likely to develop kidney failure. Diabetes and high blood pressure are leading causes of kidney disease, which can result in kidney failure, needing dialysis, or a kidney transplant. The good news is that you have the power to check out how well your kidneys are doing and learn ways to prevent them from failing. So go to your doctor and get yourself checked out. Visit linkbylovetv.org to learn more. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 1017 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Brandon Snide. Super Bowl 59 is all set. The Chiefs beating the Bills on Sunday 32-29, and the Eagles dominating the Washington Commanders 55-23. The Chiefs and the Eagles will meet for the big game that is set for February 9th. Over to the NBA, where the Milwaukee Bucks will look to get a bounce-back win in Utah tonight as they get set to face off with the Jazz. Tip-off for that game is set for 8 p.m. And lastly, over to college hoops, where the 18th-ranked Wisconsin men's basketball team dominated Nebraska on Sunday, 83-55, to secure their 17th win of the season. Next up for the Badgers is a road trip out to Maryland on Wednesday night. The Sports Update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
This is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
I got a question for the president. We've been working, where the hell you been? Hold up, you better think again. What's the day without a Mexican? Hey, yo. Mi gente bailando, mi gente gritando.
This Saturday, be sure to tune in to our special broadcast of the MLK Prayer Brunch, sponsored by American Family Insurance, live from Concordia University, Wisconsin, from 10 a.m. to noon. Dr. Ken Harris will be speaking with Concordia University's Wisconsin's Director of Multicultural Engagement, Walter Goodwin, about the impact of Dr. King's legacy. You will also hear from recipients of the MLK Student Leadership Awards. Again, that is the MLK Prayer Brunch from Concordia University, Wisconsin, from 10 a.m. to noon this Saturday on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am Kyle Wallace, taking you through the greatest power hour in radio here on 1017 The Truth. And before I was talking about that big T, right? That big T word of tariffs and what it means to basically get rid of migrant workers. And that's been a lot of the talk and a lot of conversation you have heard over days, over weeks, right? And I feel like we just need to have a bigger conversation with this, especially based off what happened over the weekend as the bully-in-chief, Donald Trump, was at it again within the last 7 days of him being in office. Remember, he only got inaugurated last Monday, so it's only been a week. He started beefs with Mexico, Canada, Denmark, Greenland, now add Colombia to the list of places he is threatening to slap tariffs on. And what we have to understand is that this is not what y'all voted for. For those who voted for Trump, they didn't vote for him to slap tariffs on people just to raise up prices. They voted for a better economy. They voted for safer streets. And yes, you can say some of the deportations can lead to that, but higher tariffs do not lead to safer streets. Higher tariffs don't lead to lower prices. Getting rid of people who are working on farms across this country does not impact you positively. I'm telling y'all this right now, is that I need to educate people on what it means when you are deporting people who are working on farms across this country, because what that impact will have, the residuals from that, will be felt in your pocketbooks. And you ain't got to believe me. I have a great CBS News report where the farmers are talking about the necessity and the need of having migrant workers and what could be the impact if they don't have workers because y'all Americans is lazy.
Tonight, many of America's farmers already feeling the pinch are worried about the possibility of more challenges. That's because President Trump is threatening to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, creating uncertainty about the future of the workforce.
It takes a lot of hands to hand harvest fruits and vegetables.
Talk to any farmer and they'll tell you it's difficult work.
This is a 24-hour job, so I need people who are willing to work in shifts at different times of the day.
But it's hard to find those people.
Yeah.
American farms are on the decline. There was a 7% drop in farms from 2017 to 2022, according to the USDA. That's about 142,000 fewer farms in just 5 years. These days, farmers are up against bird flu outbreaks, higher costs for feed and fertilizer, and climate change. But their livelihoods depend on a reliable workforce. And now they're concerned about how President Trump's campaign promise to launch the largest deportation effort in American history will play out. About 2/3 of crop workers are foreign-born. And while many come to the U.S. for seasonal jobs legally through H-2A visas, the USDA estimates that 42% of crop laborers are undocumented. New Jersey farmer Kurt Alstead says his workers are all legally authorized, but he's watching closely to see what Trump does next.
When we talk about the ripple effects of a potential mass deportation, labor is already hard enough to find as is. Could it be even more difficult to find across the board if that does happen?
Well, there's no question in the United States we have a shrinking workforce. Anything that happens from a policy standpoint that reduces people in our workforce is going to make it very difficult for industry, and certainly for agriculture. We would be in big trouble if we lost workforce.
The labor union, United Farm Workers, has already seen an uptick in migrants asking for help.
The threats are scary, but at the same time, farm workers more than anyone understand the reality that without them, this work is not going to get done.
And fewer workers could mean less homegrown produce, according to University of Montana economist Diane Charlton.
But will consumers see higher prices if there are these mass deportations?
Maybe to a certain extent, consumers might not see a really big impact in the grocery stores, but there will be less domestically grown fruits and vegetables.
Does that mean more farms could go belly up?
Definitely.
It's still.
More farms could go belly up. Farms like places like Wisconsin, known as the Dairyland state, could find itself having less farms. In the past 5-6 years, we have seen, well, I shouldn't say 5-6, between 2017 and 2022, we saw 142,000 less farms in America. That impacted Wisconsin. When you're talking about a reduction, a workforce of 42% of workers on farms are undocumented migrants. If he were to deport 42% of those people, who y'all think gonna work them farms? I know y'all ain't. Listen, my grandpa and grandma worked too damn hard for me to be back out there. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't do the hand stuff. I use my brain. I don't do all that. I don't do the farming stuff. Shout out to those who do it. But I know the reason why they had to hire these migrants is because Americans don't want to do the work. And then on top of that, y'all gotta understand, I'm not the smartest person, but there has to be some sense of logic. You are deporting your workforce. The farmers are telling you that if you deport these people, there's going to be a gap. It's going to lead to slightly higher prices. It's going to lead to less farms because we don't have the people to fill those voids and the losses of bodies. But then on top of that, You're telling me you want to beef with Colombia and charge tariffs to them potentially of 25% when they import things to this country or export things to our country. So you can't put tariffs on them and get rid of your workforce and not be able to balance it out. If you could balance it out, great. If you say, you know what, forget you, Colombia, forget you, Mexico, who's the largest exporter of goods to us, forget both of y'all. We're going to grow it here. But no, we not. We can't because we sent all the workforce home. Y'all have to understand a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do is illogical. It just doesn't add up. They say 1 + 1 = 5. That's not the case. Y'all have to understand, when we put tariffs on these other countries, we pay the price. And I am not for people to come to America illegally. But we have to understand when people are here and they're actually helping to boost our economy, we have to be very strategic about how we replace them. You cannot replace a workforce like that. If even 10% of the workforce went away, that's going to cause a strain on our economy, and that's going to cause a strain on these farmers as well. And what does that lead to? It leads to less people, less Americans being able to make a good living on these farms. That leads to more Americans having to pay more for food, right? So we have to understand what this means. Don't just look at somebody and say, oh, well, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Asian, I'm whatever, I'm not Hispanic. Or you can't say, well, I'm Hispanic and I'm Cuban, I came here legally, right? Or I was born here, so I'm all good, so forget them. No. These things will impact your wallets, and I don't feel like we voted to have our wallets impacted negatively. Trump won the election for one reason and one reason only. Don't let nobody tell you it had anything to do with his machismo. Don't let people tell you because he just ran a great campaign. It had to do with the fact that the economy is suffering. And for those who have to live day to day, buying the daily products, the necessities that you need to survive, it sucked. Groceries were up. Clothes were up. Things cost more. The economy is not the stock market. The stock market is booming. But the day-to-day things that people need to buy, they're suffering. That's why Trump won. It's the economy, stupid. That's all it came down to, is people were struggling. 833-212-1017. I do want to talk about what tariffs are, because y'all got to understand, with tariffs, they're basically a tax on us. And I'm going to have a great video where they break down why you have to understand that a tariff can be it's a tool. It could be a tool to force countries like Colombia to come to agreement of your terms. But the problem is like in the movie. Have you seen the movie Friday, Zach?
No.
That's okay. But in the movie Friday, there's somebody named Craig, right? And there's somebody named Debo. And let's just look at the United States of America to be Debo, right? Debo ran the block. He ran the neighborhood. Everybody was scared of Debo. If Debo said jump, they said how high. If Debo said give me your chain, you gave up the chain. But then one day, all it takes is one person like Craig to come along and say, Debo, you ain't running these streets no more. You ain't going to do that, and fight back. If one of these countries like Mexico or Canada fights back, you know who feels the punch? Who gets the black eye? Who suffers the most? It ain't Donald Trump. It ain't most of the elected politicians. It's not Elon Musk. It's not Jeff Bezos. It's not the CEOs. It's us. It's the regular Americans who are just trying to get by day to day that feel the negative impact of a tariff, because tariffs cost you more money. Make sure y'all watch and stream us live on YouTube as we talking about Big T, the tariff word. And Tony from Tulsa, you're an award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts here on tariffs?
Kyle, so let me start by asking you a question.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there were 12 million migrants that were let into the country illegally, right? So let me ask you, were eggs still $8?
Were eggs $8? Do you know why eggs were $8?
Yeah, were eggs were still $8, right?
Eggs were up in price. They sure were. Now they're down in price, and now they're going back up in price because of the bird flu, which is another thing.
All our groceries went up, right?
All our groceries went up during the pandemic. They absolutely did. But you got to understand there was a supply. There was a supply issue where you had a lot of things where people were buying during that, and then on top of that, you had an issue with the distribution as well, which causes price to go up because it's simple supply and demand.
So even up until now, things are still up. And that's with 12 million migrants that came into the country illegally, and the previous administration turned a blind eye to it until the last probably 6 months, right?
I agree 100%. They turned a blind eye to it.
So this is the thing about this, and this is what I want people to understand. And I'll get into the terrorist issue really, really quickly after that. So they are letting in our replacements. Joe Biden told you that, look, I don't need to come to the negotiating table with you. I need to come to the negotiating table with the Latino community. So they're willing to let all these other migrants in. Remember, he didn't want the Haitians. Remember, because they told Kamala, like, if you want to come in, go back. So they didn't want the Haitians. They wanted the other ones, your replacement. And so what I want people to understand is that this is a black eye for those people that are doing it the right way, the legal way. What does it say about them? Like, well, we can give you SNAP benefits. We can give you $5,000 on the card. We can house you. We can take over community centers. We can give you driver's license. Even though you came into the country illegally, where they don't do that anywhere else but here, and then like, oh, it's okay. Some of these people, they got to go. We don't want them to go because this is really going to hurt. Those 20 million people that weren't here before this previous administration, it's not going to be a black eye to us if they were gone.
Yeah,
because
we're already suffering, right? And a lot of the things we have to understand what we went through. When you look at it was the global economy that suffered. And by getting rid, I don't understand how you think by getting rid of migrants is going to solve our issues. And on top of that, Tony, when you talk about the Haitians as well, remember the Biden administration gave temporary protected status to the 300,000 Haitian migrants. So let's make sure we're being factual too, Tony. Now, so thanks for joining us.
Wait, Kyle, I want to go to the tariffs. Real quick.
Okay, I got to be quick. I got another call. I got to get the break.
Okay, real quick. So the thing that happened over this weekend, a guy had texted me about the same thing about Colombia.
Yes, sir.
Trump used these threats of tariffs as a negotiating
It's a tool. It's a negotiating tool, yep.
Right. In which they already, just this morning, like 7-something this morning, Colombia was like, hey, okay, all right, cool. We'll accept these people that came into your country illegally back. So he used it as a bargaining chip. He did the same thing when he ran the first time. It's not the world is blowing up, the world is on fire.
Tony, wait a minute.
He uses the threat of this as a bargaining chip.
The first time, China didn't back down from that, and we saw prices increase. We saw, I believe it was steel was one of the things that was impacted, or corn, or there was something. I had to look it up, or soybeans. Something was impacted. So you have to understand.
It was soybeans.
So you have to understand that, yes, like I said before, it is a negotiating. And it's great when it works, but when it doesn't, we pay the price, Tony. I appreciate you, man. Definitely call back in. I love when Tony Fertosa call in. The caller, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts and comments about the tariff conversation?
Well, Kyle Wallace, we know that a tariff is a tax on the buyer. And anybody who thinks anything other than that is a liar. So anytime that you say that it's like you're playing cards, this is not a game. This is people's real lives. And the reason that food prices went up is because during the pandemic, that was mishandled by a president who said drink bleach. Companies raised their prices and did not lower them for 4 years in an attempt to make the economy worse than it would have been outside of them doing that. They continued to make record profits while we paid the tab. And that's exactly what will happen if you put a tariff on Mexico, where we have common auto building companies. They're going to tariff those automobiles.
Yep, GM, Ford, they all build in Mexico.
Outside of the financial piece, you have to understand, and maybe Tony doesn't study history to be knowledgeable of enough, that Adolf Hitler built, who is Trump's hero, 44,000 death camps throughout Europe. And when you see this thing going on with ICE, just like, he's talking about Haitians, you could be easily, as an African-American, mistaken for a Haitian, and your family won't know where you are until you're shipped off to a country you've never been.
I feel you, the caller. I'm sorry. We're tight on time. I feel y'all. I love this conversation. Maybe I let the previous conversation run too long, but listen, y'all, we're talking about tariffs. When I come back, I'm going to have somebody break it down. I'm going to give y'all a 60-second breakdown of what tariffs are and why you need to fight back. And then I'll talk about some of the products that y'all need to be keeping y'all eye on now, okay? So keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power. We'll talk more about tariffs. I see y'all text messages. Make sure y'all watching Stream Us Live. But this is Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. 1017 The Truth is now the proud home of Milwaukee Public Schools City Conference basketball. Tune in every week so you don't miss out on the classic rivalry game we all love, the high-flying dunks that leave us in awe, and the memorable moments where Milwaukee basketball legends are born. City Conference basketball on 1017 The Truth is sponsored by Milwaukee Public Schools, MPS proud, and presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Today's Making Your Money Work is presented by Associated Bank, and right now I am excited to be joined by Ashley Lucas. Ashley Lucas, how are you doing today?
I am doing amazing, and I am excited. We are so close to the holidays. How are you?
I'm doing really good, too. I'm excited to be speaking with you because, you know, the work that you and Associated Bank do is incredible. So I want to get right into it. So in what ways does Associated Bank support small businesses?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the kudos. We really take it to heart here to ensure that we're helping the businesses in our community, those local business owners that are working hard, you know, to help the people that, you know, live and work in the Milwaukee area. So one of the biggest things we have here is we have not only certified branch managers and colleagues, but also a small business relationship manager team that's able to assist a business, whether they're just starting out, they need their first loan, they're looking to retire, they're wondering, you know, how to manage their day-to-day operations with their finances. And I think that's really important because, you know, having that go-to person that you can contact no matter, you know, what questions you have is really, really, really important to business owners.
So how can people get in touch with you? I know they're interested at this point.
We have something also really cool at Associated Bank. Anyone can go into any one of our local branches. We have business certified colleagues there that are able to help. Or if you're like me and you see the snow coming down today and you're like, nope, I want to stay in my jammies and at home, we have a virtual relationship manager hotline, and anyone can call whether they're a customer or not. They're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and their number is 1-800-270-7725.
Thank you so much, Ashley Lucas. We always have such a good time.
Making your money work on the award-winning 1017 The Truth is sponsored by Associated Bank. Your money works here.
Serious truck crash? Call Gruber Law Offices today.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
One call, that's all with Gruber Law Offices. Listen, if you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, do not hesitate to make one call, that's all, because Gruber Law Offices will take care of the rest. They have been standing up for victims for over 35 plus years, and they focus on taking the burden off your shoulders while they focus on the legal aspect. So they provide the best care, the best service, and the best representation because that is their priority at Gruber Law Offices. And one thing I love about them is there's no fee. There's no cost to call, to consult, or retain them as a law firm. You never pay a fee until they win your case. Visit them today at gruber-law.com. That is gruber-law.com, or call them at 414-276-6666. That's 414-276-6666 is one call. That's all with Gruber Law Offices. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, and we're talking about the new big T, which is tariffs and how tariffs can negatively impact Americans. And what I want y'all to understand is that yeah, it can be used as a negotiating tool, but when somebody actually fights back and says, we're going to put tariffs on you, that's when we start feeling pain here in America. And I want y'all to mark my word. I'm going to play audio for y'all, but mark my word. Zach, I want you to mark this show, and I want this show to be marked for July 4th. So set a calendar invite for July 4th, and I want this show to be for the holiday because we're going to be off on the 4th. I want this to be a holiday show because mark my word. Come February 1st, we will impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada. And at that time, if we don't negotiate anything, I promise y'all, 6 months from now, the conversation in America is going to be talking about why is gas so high? Why is food so high? Why is it that the Biden administration left us like this? Donald Trump didn't do this, blah, blah. I guarantee y'all going to be whining and complaining and pointing the fingers in other directions and trying to deflect away from the fact that the economy was going in the right direction. It was moving slow, but it was working in the right direction. But 6 months from now, when prices of everything is up because of the decisions that Trump made, y'all going to be crying and making excuses for his nonsense. But I want y'all to listen to this audio that I found on Instagram that breaks down exactly what a tariff is and why we, the consumers, not businesses, we, the consumers, are just being taxed.
Are tariffs inflationary?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Who pays for tariffs? Not the company that you are tariffing. So let's use the favorite example. China exports stuff to us and then we tariff them, right? We, as an importer of Chinese goods, pay for the tariffs, not China. I think that's what the most important fact that people need to understand is that the company exporting the product does not pay for the tariff. How it works is this. They put stuff on a boat. It arrives here. When the company that imports it and distributes and sells it, let's say Costco, whatever, the distributor, goes to the port and takes it, they pay for the tariff there.
At the port?
At the port, yeah. It's all clear, when you clear customs.
Okay.
It's collected there. And basically what happens is when the product reaches the shelves, it's more expensive now. So what would...
So there's more cost to get
Well,
it
it's like
here.
I did that example before, right? Okay, you buy a t-shirt for $10 without tariffs, right? And you sell it here for $12, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you tariff China $2 on that, then it's going to cost you $12 to get here. You're not going to sell it at zero profit. You're going to have to bump the price up.
I know, but everyone says in the comments that believe this whole tariff thing, then we should be buying American-made t-shirts.
Yeah, okay.
We grow cotton here anyway.
That's a fallacious argument, though. Okay, what is your cost of living here? What is your cost of labor here compared to China? How are you going to pay people to make that t-shirt at the same price that they make it in China? It's impossible. And what's the reason?
It is impossible. That's what y'all need to understand, is that it is a tax on us. As a company, 1, 2, 3. Like, for real, y'all saw y'all rent go up, right? Why did y'all rent in Milwaukee go up? I don't know, because property taxes went up. And if property taxes go up, who gonna cover the cost? You think the owner of the building gonna cover, or you think they're gonna pass the cost along? That's what businesses do. They just pass the cost along. So when tariffs hit and costs get passed along to Americans, y'all gonna understand why. So when cars go up, the price of cars potentially go up $2,000 because of tariffs. When the cost of gas go up, because we get a lot of our gas from Canada, here we get our energy in Wisconsin, a lot of it from Canada. When vegetables go up, when food goes up, when simply going to the store to buy a washer and dryer costs more because of the tariffs that were put on, don't go around looking about what happened or how did this happen. No, y'all know what happened. Old Trumpito happened. That's what y'all need to understand. But this has been Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. That show went by entirely too fast. But you know what? I will be back tomorrow on my soapbox, talking to y'all, having a great community conversation. I appreciate y'all tuning in as always. And remember, don't believe in Debo. Don't get behind Debo. Get behind Craig. Trump is Debo. In America, we got to be Craig and stand up for what's right. This has been Truth to Power on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. The Tory Lowe Show is next. Peace out.
We have Sunday matinee basketball. The Milwaukee Panthers return home to take on Horizon League opponent, the Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons.
Finds Fields back for KP in the corner.